first question here, write down the ratio of pear tree to apple tree in the simplest form. So key in 600 divided by 720, then you will get 5 to 6 respectively. For question 2, they wanted you to identify the total mass of apple produced by the 720 trees. 720 times 16 times 18, then you will get 207,360. So to transform this into standard form, you're required to write it as 2.0736 times 10 to the power of 5, because it was being shifted to the left hand by 5 steps. Section B, first thing that I did was to identify the total ratio by taking 13 plus 9, then you get 22. Okay, so total fruits times 9 over 22 will get you 18,540. So your total fruit mass is actually 45,320. With that being said, you can now key in the ratio of apple divided by the total ratio. Then you'll get your final results as 26,780. As for the next part, okay, the keyword is hidden in he sell them at a profit of 60%. So the 100% is the original cost, the 60% is the profit they make. So 0.85 times 160%, you should get 1.36 as your final result. As for section C, okay, I first convert the 2.3 euros into dollar by dividing it by 0.92. Then I get $2.5. So the new price minus the original price divided by original price times 100. Then you will get your final results as 66.67%. As for section D, they wanted to know how much more does he earn during 2018 as compared to 2027. So I calculate the numbers of years between 2018 to 2027. Okay, it is 9 years in total. So 195,600 times 108.7% to the power of 9. Then we will get 414,414.3136. The difference will result in 218,814.3136. After correcting it to 3 significant figures, you should get 219,000 as your final results. As for question 2, finding the median. So the total numbers of girls here is 80. So multiply it by 50%, then you get 40 girls. So from 40 girls, you trace it back, it should result in 54 seconds. For the next part, interquartile range, you need to calculate the 75%, okay, and 25%. So it's at the 60th girls and 20th girls. You trace it back through the graph. Then you identify the respective value as 65 seconds and 36 seconds. And their difference here is 29 seconds as your final results. For section 3, 20th percentile, 80 times 20%, you will get 16 girls. Okay, so from 16 girls, you trace it back, you will get 32 seconds as your results. Section 4, the numbers of girls who took more than 66 seconds to solve the problem. So 66 seconds, you trace it back, okay, then you will get 61. So they wanted the girls that took more than that. So you require to take the total, 80 minus 61 equals to 19. As for the next part, okay, to identify the respective group frequency count, you're required to trace it back through the second section. You draw it up, okay, so at your time is 40 seconds, it is actually 24%. and when it's 20, it is 6. So 24 minus 6, you'll get 18. So you trace it back all the respective group, it should result in 26 and 26 for the last two there. So for you to calculate the mean, you're required to identify the midpoint of the respective interval first. Okay, then take their frequency multiplied by the midpoint and divide by 80. Okay, then you will get your final results of the mean time as 51 seconds. Question C, okay, a boy has a median time of 60 seconds, a lower quarter of 46, and an upper quarter of 66. Write down the percentage of boy with a time of 66 seconds or less. Okay, since it is at the upper quarter value, which means it is 75%. Okay, question 2. Howard says the boys' times vary more than the girls'. But for this statement, it is actually wrong because we identify very true interquartile range, and the interquartile range of the boys, okay, is actually lower than the girls because it's only 20, but for the girls it is 29. So any relevant comments will be accepted. Okay, as for question 3, okay, this is totally something new because they incorporated the transformation 2 times 2 matrix with the coordinate. So you're required to run a lot of manual calculation to identify the final results. Question 3, part A, finding the midpoint. Okay, this one is a simpler one. So you take both of their x plus together, divide by 2, and both of their y add on together and divide by 2. Then you get 3, 5.5 respectively. For question 2, okay, find the equation of the line AB. So use the coordinate given to run the gradient calculation. Your gradient should turn out to be 5/4. So now you have the equation that goes by y equals to 5/4x plus c. Then I substituted one of the point. Okay, in my case I selected point A. After the calculation, I get my c's final result as 7/4. Hence, the equation will goes by y equals to 5/4x plus 7/4. Question B, part 1. Okay, do take note that every single section actually trace back to the original point. They are not linked to each other. So for A to P here, after the changes in x is 5, the changes y is -2, you should get your P's coordinate as 6, 1. Whereby for Q, okay, after the changes, it should be 10, 6. Question 2, a rotation through 90 degree anticlockwise about the origin. So the 90 degrees anticlockwise matrix, okay, is actually 0, 1, -1, 0. When you multiply these two together, you should get your final results as -3, 1 and -8, 5. For question 3, okay, I labeled down A and B's point. Okay, a reflection at the line x equals to 2. The moment when you saw reflection is at the line x equals to 2, you will know that there's no changes in their y coordinate. So I basically fill up 3 and 8 first. Okay, then I trace it back through drawing the diagram below. So 2 is actually next to 1, so I have to move one more space. My final destination will be 3. Whereby for 5 is at the right hand side of 1, right hand side of 2, trace it back and actually shifted 3 steps. So the 2 must be shifted to 3 steps as well, and I arrived at -1. A transformation by the matrix of -1, 2, 0, -1. So I labeled down accordingly and I calculated the respective results is 5, -3, and 11, negative 8. Question C. Okay, after comparing point A to P and point B to Q, you can immediately identify that there's a scale factor involvement, because for 1 to get to negative 2, they're actually being multiplied by negative 2. So this is actually an enlargement, okay, with a scale factor of negative 2, and it is from the origin. Question 4, okay, keyword here is hemisphere. So the formula given is for a full sphere. You're required to multiply 1 over 2 into it. Okay, after the calculation, you should get 144 pi as your results, which translate into 452 cm cubed after correcting it to 3 significant figures. For part B, okay, they wanted you to calculate the volume. Hence, you're required to identify the triangular DC base first. To find that, you need to use Pythagoras theorem that goes by square root of 10 squared minus 5.2 squared. You will get 8.541662,602. So multiply it with 5.2, multiply with half. Okay, then you multiply by the width of it, which is 18. After correcting your final answer into 3 significant figures, it should be 400. As for part B, to calculate angle BEC, you have two options here. Either you calculate BE or CE. Okay, in my case, I selected the route on calculating BE. So to find that, we are looking at the slant side of this triangular shape, which has a BD of 10 cm and ED of 18. So BE is actually their diagonal. So square root of 18 squared plus 10 squared, it should be 2 square root of 106. With this information, we are looking for angle BEC. 2 square root 106 will be its hypotenuse, and 5.2 will be its opposite. So through sine inverse, okay, you identify your final results as 14.6. Question 2, work out the angle BGE, and GD was given as 7 cm. So I illustrated the slant side of this triangular shape over there. Okay, I first identify angle X through using tangent inverse. It is 55.0079798. So the Y's value will actually be 180 minus the results. After correcting your final answer into 3 significant figures, it should be 125. Question 5. Okay, basically, to complete the graph, you are required to substitute x equals to -1, 0.2, and 3 into the formula. Then it will turn out to be 3.5, 15, and 3.9 respectively. Okay, after you have the coordinate, you can now proceed and draw down the following graph. Use your graph to solve, okay, y less than equals to 0. How do I know it is y? Simply compare this with the original formula. Okay, when y is less than equals to 0, the two intersection point here is 0.55 and 1.4. Okay, your answer may be slightly different from mine. However, as long as your answer is within the King Scheme's acceptable range, you should have no issue to secure the full marks. Question D, they wanted a positive integer, which is whole number, that has two solutions only. Okay, any point above integer of 3 will have 3 to 4 results and above. Okay, so your answer, they wanted the smallest possible, so it should be 1 only. If they didn't mention about the smallest possible, Okay, they just say positive integer, then you can write 2 as well. 3 is also accepted. Okay, however, because of the keyword smallest, you're supposed to select 1 only. As for question E, okay, I compare it with the original equation again, then I get my new equation as y equals to 3x plus 1. So by substituting x equals to 0 and 3, I get my y as 1 and 10. I then proceed by drawing the line over there, and the intersection is actually at 0.35. Part 2, I change their denominator into the same, which is 2x squared. So for the first fraction there, the x squared was supposed to multiply with x squared, then I get x to the power 4. For the next equation, I multiply it by 2, and for the last one, I multiply it with 2x. Okay, I then proceed to cross multiply them and rearrange it, then you will get your a as -6, b as -2, and c as -4. Question 6, okay, as mentioned by the question, using cosine rule, so simply substituting the value into their respective space, you should get BC as 13.9. Question 2, using sine rule, okay, cross multiply them, then you get your final results after correcting it to 3 significant figures as 66.6. As for part B, there's nothing complicated about this. Just substituting your irregular triangle area calculation formula, half AB sine C, then it will turn out to be 70. Okay, I first change the sine 30 into 1/2, then I get rid of them to the other side. So 70 divided by 1/2 divided by 1/2. Expand the bracket, okay, rearrange them, then you get this final results. Question 2, as mentioned by the question, using quadratic formula, A is actually 4, B is positive 11, C is -300. Substitute it into the formula, -b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. You get the two results as 7.39 or -10.14. And for you to calculate DE's length, you're supposed to take the positive results, which is 7.39, add it with 4, it will turn out to be 11.39, because the -10.14 is invalid. You cannot measure length in negative form. Question 7, part A, number 1, substituting -3 into function x exposition. The result should be 13. As for part 2, I first calculated g bracket 30 first, substitute 30 into g's function exposition. Then you get 1/3. I then proceed with the calculation with h function bracket 1/3, which turns out to be 27 to the power of 1/3. So your final result should be 3 as well. Question 3, I follow the 3 steps formula, okay, by changing function f into y, swap x and y's position, rearrange it, then you get function inverse as 7 minus x over 2. As for part B, g bracket 2x plus 1, okay, substituting 2x plus 1 into exposition of function g, cross multiply it, and you get your x final result as 3/4. As for section C, okay, I just substitute the value of the function into the respective space, make their denominator the same, and you have a numerator of 70 minus 19x, divide by x bracket 7 minus 2x. You're not required to expand this, the denominator part, because if you expand it, it's not in the simplest form anymore. Question D, I first identify the h inverse function. So to do that, okay, hx was being changed to y. I then swap x and y's position, and to identify your new y here, okay, you're going to make the y the subject. So the easiest way is actually through logarithm. Okay, the base here is 27, the result is x, and it is equals to the power. So your h inverse function is actually log with a base of 27x. By substituting 19,683 into x position, you should get your final result as 3. Question 8a, making p the subject. Get rid of the 7, so you have 5p equals to m minus 7. p equals to m minus 7 divided by 5. As for part 2, okay, I throw the negative 2p squared to the other side and I pull the h over. Okay, then I divide the entire thing by 2 and square root it. So p equals to square root of y squared minus h divided by 2. As for B number 1, identifying OA, okay, so there's no changes in x because they are still at the coordinate 0, and the changes is y is they was being shifted up by 5 steps, so your column vector is 0, 5. Wherever for write AB as a column vector, so A to B shifted towards the left by 3 steps. Okay, so you have negative 3 and it was being shifted down by 1 step, so negative 3, negative 1. AB lies on a circle with a center of 0. Calculate the arc length. So the keyword here is arc length. Radius is 5 because OA is 0, 5. Okay. The sector angle, okay, we are required to trace it back through using tangent, okay, because we have 3 and 4 over there. So tangent inverse 3 over 4, okay, which is their opposite and adjacent, then you get 36.9. So 36.9 divided by 360 times 2 times pi times 5, you get 3.22 as your final results. As for question 9, for you to proceed with the calculation, do take note that you're required to change the second, okay, into minutes form. So 2 minutes and 40 seconds will turn out to be 2 over 3. Okay. So speed equals to distance over time. The time unit is in hour. So the distance is 7.6 kilometers divided by 2 over 3 divided by another 60, because from minutes to hours you're required to divide by 60. The final results will turn out to be 171 kilometers per hour. Question part B number 1, we are using LCM concept here. You're required to convert the time into second for easier calculation because it's in whole number. Okay, so 2 minutes and 40 seconds will turn out to be 60 times 2 plus 40, which is 160 seconds. But for next one, 2 minutes and 25 seconds should be 145. I divide them by 5, divide them by 32, and divide them by 29. The LCM is actually 4,640 seconds. So divided by 60, you get 77 minutes and 20 seconds is where the car A and car B are next to each other. Find the distance that car A has traveled at this time. So distance equals to speed times times. So we have the speed already, which is 117, multiplied by the time of 77 minutes 20 seconds. Convert it into hours, and you get 220.4 kilometers. So this is pretty much it for this particular paper. There's a few questions that I would say it's slightly tricky, and they have adapted to 2020's exam syllabus. Okay, this will be a very good practice. Okay, if you have friends that are struggling, feel free to share this paper to them, and I wish you all the best for your upcoming examination. Thank you.